What's going on, irregulars? Welcome back on another Thursday. It's your boy Bobby.
Hi guys, it's been a while.
Yes.
How we feeling?
How are you feeling? That's the
I'm
real question.
great. I'm so happy to be back. It's been a very long couple of weeks. We both had a couple of things happen for us, Bobby.
Yeah, we were traveling a little bit. We thought we had our schedule figured out and everything, and clearly that didn't work out too well because we didn't have time to record an episode for you guys last week. So we're going to knock the dust off this week for you.
And we have something awesome planned. But before we get into that, Bobby, tell us about your trip.
Oh my gosh. My trip was it was awesome. It was a great fucking time. I got to hang out with the squad and everything, but
Remind everybody where you went.
I was supposed to go to West Palm Beach, Florida, but instead our flight didn't want to land in West Palm Beach. It circled outside over the ocean 11 times, where then they decided to take us to our alternate airport, which was Miami, which is 2 hours away from West Palm, of which I then had to have Scott drive all the way down to Miami and pick me up at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then we drove directly to the bar and had beers at O'Shea's, which was awesome. Shout out to O'Shea's. But besides that, the trip was killer, and I finally got my leg sleeve finished. Got to hang out with the boys, see some people, and coolest story ever though. We were down there hanging out with the team and whatnot, and they were like, "Yeah, we're going to this party tonight," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "All right, cool, whatever. I'm just along for the ride. Like, I'm on vacation, so there's no fucking rules, right?" So all of a sudden I show up, and they're like, "Yeah, this is Jeremy. This is the owner of the house." And I was like, "Wait a minute, we've met before." So 2 years ago,
you already met this guy.
yeah, I met the owner of the house. So 2 years ago, I got stuck in Philadelphia International Airport, and my flight got delayed till
You have bad luck with airports.
oh, it's terrible. I got stuck there till our flight got delayed till midnight or 1 in the morning, and I'm just throwing beers back at the bar, and this dude next to me was hanging out throwing beers back, and we were like, yeah, shooting the shit, and then he was like, yeah, my house is right near this bar that I used to go to all the time, and he was like, if you ever want to come in, hang out. I'm like, all right, cool. I literally walk in, they're like, yo, this is Jeremy, and I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, dude, we met. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, do you remember getting stuck in Philly and 2 years ago? And he's like, holy shit, bro.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and then we drank beers the rest of the night. It was fucking sick until 4 in the morning. And then I don't even think he stayed there.
At his own house?
Yeah, we stayed so late. Leave it to Mike, bro. We stayed so late that we actually locked up this man's house and shut all the lights out for him.
You never party like this with me. What the hell?
Yes, I do. Stop that. What happened to you this past couple weeks?
Well, I got into it, got after it. I went on a vacation myself. I too went to Florida a week after Bobby. We actually had a nice deal planned where I was going to pick him up from the airport and he was going to pick me up from the airport, and then
that didn't happen.
Well, in my defense, it snowed a lot the day that you got in. But more importantly, I don't even know if I've really admitted this to you yet, but I just got really, really hammered that day too. And I definitely could not operate a vehicle.
Oh, I know, because I went to the bar right before I was supposed to fly out. We hit up O'Shea's. Again, shout out to O'Shea's. Hit up O'Shea's, and I'm getting FaceTime requests from Caitlin, and I'm with Scott, and I'm like, what the fuck does she want?
I don't even remember doing that.
Yeah. We answer, and it was just pure fuckery. It was just all of it, blah, 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 this, that. And I'm like, Scott looks over at me. He goes, Jesus, that girl's drunk. And I'm like, it's 2 p.m.
It was Sunday.
Yeah.
It was brunch.
It was brunch. Fair enough. But yeah, I was like, oh my God. And then I remember, I think I texted the group, my group chat with the homies from back home. And I was like, can anyone else pick me up? Because I think Caitlin's drunk. And
But to be fair, sober or not, the weather was terrible. I could not have driven there.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah, no.
I can barely drive on a sunny day. So
This is true. You're good at a lot of things. Driving, definitely not one of them.
No.
At all.
No, but other than that, Florida was good. It was, let me tell you, I can't keep up like I used to. It was fun,
old.
But by day 2, I was like, somebody sedate me. I'm going to die.
You're getting old.
Yeah, but it was not much to update.
At what point did our lives change where I was actually more interesting than you were?
Let's not get carried away there, Bobby.
Yeah, this is true.
Speaking of interesting people, today's guests I am so excited about. I know I've entered a little bit on our Instagram page. They are the first guests that we have that are not in our network of friends and people that we know. We've actually met them through this project. Bobby, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so obviously the show, we all know what the show's about. It's a regular, and we had this individual reach out and say, hey, I have a rather, what did we describe it? Unconventional relationship that most people don't understand. And, I would love to talk about it. And I was like, cool, tell me more. Exchanged a couple messages, and before you know it, I'm like, let's get this fucking guy on the podcast because this is just totally interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jay and Sarah.
Hello, regulars.
Thank you for coming out, man. Sarah.
Hi, guys.
So, how would you do we just want to dive right into this?
Let's just dive right in. I want to make sure I'm getting this right. You guys are a polyamorous couple?
Yes.
Yes.
How would you define that yourselves?
I would say, so we are in a relationship with another girl. So our girlfriend, her name is Gabby. We are pretty much what they call a closed triad, which means that, we are exclusive with her and she's dating both of us at the same time. It's
Is she exclusive with you guys too?
Yes.
So I'm going to get a little bit more technical with the definition. Polyamorous is more like loving more than one person. So it's a very big umbrella, which we are very recently discovering with this new relationship. But yeah, what our take of it is the closed triad, which is just one of very many options of poly relationships. So if anyone's interested in poly relationships and you start exploring it, there's a million different side avenues.
Yeah, I mean, there's couples that are, you have two couples that join together. You might have a bunch of single people that are basically all seeing each other, or they could be seeing individuals. I mean, it's very interesting and stuff that we never really knew about until we met our girlfriend. So
I'm so excited. I have so many questions. But before we get into that, I just want to know more about you guys. Tell us about yourselves. How'd you guys meet? All that good stuff.
Yeah, how did you guys meet as a what would it be, a monogamous couple?
Yes.
Correct?
Well, you guys began monogamous, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we've been together for
18 years?
18 years.
18 years?
Yes. And
Wait, hold on. How old? Do you mind asking?
No.
Because you guys look super young.
Oh, thank you. I mean, that makes me feel good. I'm 43.
I think that's
I hope
yeah,
I forget
once you
how
get
old I am
past,
when I'm
yeah.
30.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
36.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys don't look at that at all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So we've been together for 18 years. We've been married for 13 next month.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Thank
How'd
you.
you guys meet?
We had actually a friend who was a buddy of mine, and we were going to a concert, and he brought over the girl he was dating, and her friends. It was another friend, and Sarah came over, and we basically went to a concert together, and I fell like head over heels like the second she walked in. I was like, oh my God, look at this girl.
He's getting brownie points.
And yeah, I mean, I kind of said it earlier. Oddly enough, we talk about this poly relationship, but a threesome actually happened that night, not involving us. It was basically my friend and the two girls he brought over. I found out later that they had a threesome in my living room, which was
Nice.
Yeah.
So it was in the air.
It was in the air.
So you guys were together for how long until, this evolved? Talk us through all that.
So we started exploring bringing other people into our relationship about 5 years ago.
You were already married at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
So
But before that, no idea? Did you ever think maybe that you would go this direction? Or do you mind me asking, were you bisexual before this?
It was totally led by me. And I had a lot of curiosity, but I wasn't really sure where that curiosity ended. And I had a friend that we would... it was a girlfriend of a coworker, a group of people that we would go out drinking all the time, constantly drinking. And anytime we would get together, we would get a little handsy and flirtatious. And that lasted for about a year or two. And then Jay went away on vacation and she came over and we ended up having sex. So I had
Jay was
sex
like,
with
damn it.
I was
for the first time. I instantly told him, and he was like, "That's great! I'm so excited for you."
And you guys were married at this point.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I was in a surf trip in Costa Rica, and I get this message saying, "Hey, guess what? We fucked last night." I'm like, "What?" And I can't really respond to her. I mean, I'm like barely had Wi-Fi, and I'm like, "You need to FaceTime me now. Like, stop what you're doing. I need details. I need to know exactly."
And you weren't mad at all.
No, I've never really had any jealousy with like her with another girl. Actually, a girl that I dated prior to us meeting, she was bisexual, and she actually like when we were dating, she's like, "I cheated on you," and I'm like, "What? Like with who?" And it was her ex-girlfriend. I was like, "Oh, I don't care." She's like, "You don't care?" I'm like, "No, I mean another guy, yeah, I care. Another girl doesn't really bother me."
So I have to ask, so did you guys ever like discuss like other, like was there ever a talk like, hey, like have you even talk about just like, because you know like there's couples that spice up their relationships by having sex, bringing a third person in and whatnot. Like, did you guys say like, hey, did you have that conversation at like a minimum, or did you just kind of blindside him with this?
I feel like,
In a good
so
way.
like I said, we would get together and we would get handsy and flirtatious. So it wasn't a surprise to anyone except her boyfriend actually ended up being not so happy about it.
There's always a plot twist.
Yeah.
But everyone else was like, obviously that makes sense. You guys have been like hinting towards this for some time. And I don't really remember if we had the actual talk, but I think it was, I mean, we've been from day one, communication is pretty solid in our relationship, which I think is the key to any successful relationship. But I'm sure there were sidebar discussions,
Yeah.
maybe not that direct of a topic, but he wasn't surprised. You know, I wasn't like afraid to tell him. I knew he would be excited when I did tell him.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
I'm
so there was
sure
like a-
there had to have been.
There's like a level of
Some-
confidence, like after you did it, like telling him,
Yes.
you're like, I'm cool with telling him because I
Yes.
know it's not going to hurt his feelings.
Yeah,
Right.
and I had a coworker that we would hang out with a lot, and she was very handsy. She would come hang out, and she would grab Sarah's boobs and say, "Oh my God, your boobs are so great," or she's like, "Oh, you have such a
You
great
do
butt."
have great
and,
boobs, by the way. I noticed
and
that.
I would like grab her butt, and then with that, she would say, "You know, I think I like girls," and I said, "Yeah, who doesn't?"
We had the same conversation in the car on the way here.
Yes, Caitlin asked me, she's like, so how did this like come about? And I'm like, listen, I don't know a lot because I wanted to learn as we're going. You know what I mean? I wanted to have that shock value.
Yeah.
Sorry, listeners,
So-
this isn't scripted. And,
So
and-
obviously I encouraged it. I said, you know, it doesn't bother me. And then she was like, well, how do we go about it? And that's really the hard thing too, is that like, you know, we're not like the bar people to go to the bar and let's try to pick up this girl. So that was kind of like the hard thing. And we're like, can we find maybe like a friend, or like we kind of like were struggling with how to do
There was a period
it.
of time where we thought it wouldn't really be possible. We were like, we want to maybe bring another girl in, but how? What do we do? And one day I was like, Tinder? Maybe? And he was like, isn't that an app for people who fuck? And I was like, isn't that what we're looking for?
Yeah.
And he was like,
But
yeah, I guess so.
we started with, there was an app, they changed the name of it, but it used to be called Thrinder. And it was couples looking for single girls or guys, and then singles looking for couples. And that was the first, we found a girl
Yeah.
on there first, and she just wanted to hook up with Sarah, and I was like, go for it. Like, that's fine. This is for you. This is what you want to explore. Like, go ahead and go for it.
the Eagles game's on. I'm going to watch that.
This is a fun story. So it ended up, I met just her. We went on a meeting date, and then we scheduled a day for her to come over. And it ended up that Jay didn't have work that day. And I was like, you have to get out of the house. She's coming over just to have sex with me. Like, you're not involved
So
in this.
he was supposed to be at work, but for some reason he
Yes,
was not.
yes.
Oh,
So
surprise.
I'm like, go somewhere. I don't care where you go. Get out of the house.
So I'm like, I'll go to the gym. And I'll bring my laptop and do some work somewhere with a Wi-Fi signal. So I left.
What a good sport.
Thanks.
You know, he's supportive, which is important. So she comes over, and we have girl sex, and then we were like, you know what's
Can I
missing?
ask what girl sex means? Like, what does that mean to you?
You know, eating out, fingering, there's a lot. There's a lot
Okay.
of involved.
Because I know like that's a question
but-
people have a lot is like
yes.
there's no penetration.
So I am bisexual. Yes, I do enjoy a woman, but I love dick. I can't not have it. So this story, like, we have, sexual time with women, girl sex again, and we're both like, you know what I think is missing is dick. And I was like, oh, actually,
I have one of those.
I've got one. It's around the corner. Let me call him home.
He
So I was
might
like,
smell a little because he's at the gym, but
so I was like, text him, Jay, come home. You have to fuck us. And he's like, what?
I've never driven so fast in my life.
That's amazing. I love this.
So that was our first threesome.
Yeah, that was the first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
and that was how long into your relationship?
Like 15 years, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Something around there?
Probably around there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to ask you, Sarah, because I have a good friend of mine who is a homosexual who kind of, when he came out to me, kind of just told me the struggles and stuff like that of like, because he grew up, quote unquote, heterosexual, right?
Yeah, I went to prom with him and I tried to fuck him and he wouldn't fuck me. I was so mad. And then when he came out, I was like, yes!
Makes sense now.
Yeah.
I digress. Anyway.
Yeah. So he was like, yo, you have to understand, like, it was like this constant mental battle. Like, did you have that mental battle, like being a bisexual, but being in a heterosexual relationship or even lack of a better term, you're in a monogamous relationship as well too. So like, was there like a mental struggle with that?
So I think the biggest mental struggle was just like the discovering of it more so. I feel like I get like a free pass being bisexual because I don't have a lot of that struggle that homosexual people have with that, whatever, when people think it's not how you should think or feel, that original struggle growing up being like, why am I different?
Almost like bisexuality like flies under the radar.
I think,
absolutely.
Yeah. And I do, my heart goes out to that because as currently I don't know if we got into this already, we're in a relationship with a female, and there's times where we're out in public and we're holding hands or I kiss her and I get that look from someone and I think like, fuck you, but it gives me like a little glimpse into the struggle that homosexual people have faced, and it's horrible. Like, I wish everyone could just be like accepting of the love that people have, and who cares what title it has
Yeah,
or
I
what name
feel
it
like
has to it.
bisexuality has they don't have it as hard. Like, it's probably the easiest out of all that group of people, fortunately.
The non stereotypical
non-traditional
Yeah.
relationships. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
okay, so you have this relationship. I'm sorry, this experience with this third woman. Then what?
So then we really dove into the world of online dating, because we found that it was easier to do it online than to try to go out and find somebody, because you have these people that are like, I want to experience this, but I'd feel weird kind of just like asking, or even like being like shut down. Like the same thing for us. I'm like, what if we went to a bar and we approached a girl and said, hey, do you want to come home with us? And like she said no. Like, if you're online and you're basically saying, look, this is what we want to do, they're going to either say yes or no.
And you have the comfortability of hiding behind a screen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
For lack of a better phrase.
But I mean, like, I'm sure you guys know, just even like the online dating thing is just such a nightmare, and it's just
The fucking worst.
it
fucking
is like it's almost a full-time job.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about it, when we first started, it was like us like sitting on the couch, like swiping right or left, like, oh, she's cute. We just go. Sometimes we lay in bed and she'd be like, no, yes, no.
We do that. We do that too. I play Tinder on Bobby's phone all the time.
Yeah.
So.
So going into there was obviously really tough. We've had some interesting dates. We've had some very interesting catfish. It was
multiple catfish.
Oh my
but
God.
One epic catfish story.
oh
Can
yeah.
you tell us any of
Oh my
them?
God, this is hands down.
I'm actually leaning back in my chair away from the mic because I am super interested.
So
in
this is one of my.
I've never seen
favorite-
Bobby so dumbfounded before. This is great. Continue.
This is one of my favorite stories when we got into this. So we matched with a girl, and we realized in the future then that you really had to have them prove that they're real. They had to basically, we did a thing where we said, hold up a sign and say, hi, Sarah and Jay, and do a selfie with it. Because I'm like, how can you fake that? Other ones we would say, oh, do a peace sign and stick out your tongue. And someone just basically like Google someone doing that and then send it to us. So we didn't do that. We didn't have her confirm that it was real. I'm going away for a long vacation for like a 3-day weekend, 4-day weekend. And I'm on the plane, and all of a sudden I get this group message saying, hi, I don't know, let's say your name is Jenny. This is my husband. We'd love to take you out and get to know you better. So I'm like, okay. Sarah matched with someone. She's starting up a conversation. So we're just basically chatting with her. And I said, I'm going away. And she said, that's fine. Maybe we can just chat for the weekend to get to know each other better. Great. No problem. So we're going back and forth with chatting. And we set up a date, and she's basically like really saying stuff we want to hear. Like, oh, maybe we can go to a craft beer place. And we're like, oh my God, we love craft beer. This girl's great.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, there's a place right here on the way. I work in Philly. I live closer down to the beach. We can meet halfway. So we set up this date. We have it ready to go. And then on let's say Saturday, she said, I got in a car accident. And we're like, oh my God, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I hurt my left leg a little bit, but overall everything's fine. But I still want to, meet you guys. We're like, okay, great. And she's telling all these details about getting, a new car, and her sister's going to have to drive her. So finally the day of the date comes around, and we kind of learned from experience, because we did get stood up a couple times, that we have to check in with them and say, hey, are we on? Are we on still? Sure. Yep. No problem. I'll let you guys know when I'm leaving work. So we shower, we're getting ready. We don't leave yet. And instead we say, are we on? No answer. Hour later, hey, what's going on? No answer. So then I'm thinking, okay, we got ghosted. She chickened out. So let's say an hour later, she texts back, hey guys, I'm sorry. I got caught up at work. Like, okay, can we do it tomorrow? Sure. No problem. She said, the only issue is I have to go to the doctor first, and then, but I'll meet you guys afterwards. Great. No problem. Same thing. Next day, are we going to meet? No answer. What's going on? No answer. So I'm like, well, maybe this girl finally just ghosted us. That was it. She's not interested. So she
Me
sent.
and Bobby would be like, is she dead? Did she die? There's
Right?
no way that she's rejecting us. Like, she's got to be dead. Have you checked the hospitals?
Are you kidding me? I would be like, she's texting me back? It's 5 hours later, and she's
Right?
texting me back?
So she says, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm so upset right now. I actually, when I got in my car accident, I broke my leg. I have a fracture. I'm in a full leg cast.
Oh my God, this girl sounds like a sociopath.
Oh my God, it gets better. So then I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're really concerned. We think she's real. And we say,
So a little side note, many people that are obviously not necessarily real, but not females looking for couples, are when you open up the group text and they say, here's a full frontal picture of me naked, now let me see you. I'm like,
You're fake.
That's not how females talk to other people.
yes. You can see that there's guys posing as girls saying, I want to hook up to a couple, and then they're trying to get naked pictures of the girl.
Which Jay
Happens
has
all the time.
fallen victim to many a times.
Yes.
I can see, Bobby, by your face that you also would probably fall victim to
Fucking
that.
genius.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll get into
but
that. We'll get into that.
I mean, it's
So, but
it's
what
fucked
I
up,
was
but-
going to say about this girl is she is.
Well, is it a girl?
we
Well,
think.
you don't. And
We still don't
spoiler
know.
alert, you don't know. You don't find out at the end. But the way she communicates seems
Yes.
like she is
A girl.
indeed female.
Yes. So we say, hey, listen, we're really sorry about that. What do you think about, you live probably close to a bar. What if we came and just picked you up? Because she's like, I can't drive. She's like, I'm not going to be able to drive. I'm not going to be able to do. So she's like, I'm like, what if we pick you up? We'll go to a bar and we'll just have some drinks and we'll just bring you home. Look, it's just the first date just to meet you. She's like, oh my God, that would be so great. So we set it up for the following night. So the next day I wake up and I'm like, there's something just off about this. There's something weird. So I said, hey, how you doing? How's your morning? Good. How's your leg feel? Oh, it's okay. Your cast, what color is it? Oh, it's purple. Oh, purple's my favorite color. Can I see a picture of it? She's like, sure. So she sends a picture of a girl with shorts on and no shoes on in a purple cast outside. No, there's no snow. Meanwhile, it's like February. There's snow all over the ground. So I'm thinking, where are you? First of all, I know you're in New Jersey. So I go on Google and I just search purple cast. It's the third fucking result.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, you couldn't even like scroll down.
Yeah, go on the second page.
Third picture.
Did you call her out?
Oh yeah. I'm like, so interesting that's the picture you sent me. It's the third result on Google. I screenshot it, sent it to her. So all of a sudden it's
She got defensive. She was like, I was so interested in meeting you guys. You're horrible people. I can't believe you would say that to me. And we're like,
How'd Google get your picture? Did you ask her that? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, they
just happen to have it.
But it's still a question in my mind of like, who these people are. Some of them were obviously men just trying to get naked pictures.
I think it's companionship.
But
I think
yeah.
they want to talk to somebody.
I had a match with a girl, and she said, I'm a little intimidated about meeting, but I would rather just, do the virtual, like a pen pal kind of thing. And I said, cool for you, but that's not what I'm interested in. Yeah. Just say that, you know, if you want to talk to, there are millions of people out there that really only want that, find them.
And
pair with them.
like ghosting too. I just want to say, listen, just be honest. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Say, hey guys, I'm not really interested. And we say, great. I hope you find something.
Change my mind.
But to waste my time to, get my, hopes up. And, we had a girl that we matched with, and we had a date with her, and we showed up to the place and we're waiting. And then she said, oh, sorry guys, I got called into work. Meanwhile, I go on her Snapchat and she's sharing her like drinking with her friends. I'm like, just be honest and say, I wasn't feeling it today.
I'm going out with friends.
I'm going out with
we'll
friends.
Be like, okay,
yeah,
sure,
you're not
no
gonna
problem.
Hurt. First of all, I'm like, we're together. You're not going to hurt our feelings. We're
It's
going to go
always
home
like
to each other.
Yeah, it's like a solid backup plan. It's like,
That's so true.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I
even
don't
getting
really care.
stood up is not that bad when you're, like, oh, okay.
Okay,
You
I'll
guys
just
would
go home.
fuck each other
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah.
Bummer.
The funny thing is, about 2 years later, maybe a little less than that, we actually then met that girl and then had her come over and we had sex with
What,
her.
Purple Cast Girl?
No, not her. The girl that stood us up.
Okay.
And I'm like, the whole time she left, and she was gonna come over another time. I'm like, this time I'm gonna say something. Sarah's like, say what? I'm like, I'm gonna fucking call her out that she stood us up and she's posting shit on her social media. Like, we knew that you stood us up. We never said anything to her. But
Crazy.
yeah.
So I have to ask too. Like, I mean, obviously, if she was kind of the one who initiated this whole like style of a relationship and whatnot, I mean, is it strictly girls?
Yes, it's a good
Strictly
question.
girls.
Yeah, I'm very jealous with that.
Okay, so
in
like if
terms
a
of the
dude
guy.
hits on her, like, or
Not a
He
guy
likes
hits on her.
someone hitting on me, but not
Yeah.
fucking me.
Yes.
Okay.
So you explained it. It's something that that's what gets you off is seeing me with another girl as well.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Oh my God, God
Yeah.
bless.
Yeah. So
So fucking burn houses down, no way.
again, in the beginning, so I was, curious about women on a personal level, and then experienced that and loved it and was like, I need more pussy in my life. And then I was like, how am I going to feel about him with another girl? So the first time that we had a threesome, we had, I called all the shots. I'm like, I'll make the rule, like,
you're the director.
Yes.
right. In case there's something that makes me feel uncomfortable, I can easily change that to, not be mad. And we had like code words of situations and whatnot. And I loved it. I was like, this is great. Let's do it a million times.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, it was easy. I mean, just
5
in
years
terms of
later-
like, yeah, just in terms of like threesome too, like the girl like going down on her and me behind the girl. I'm like, is this okay? Looking at her.
I mean,
And
I
she's
don't
like,
even
it's
think,
great.
I don't even think
the
you
thumbs
need
up
to
or the
ask
thumbs
the
down.
question with like the shit-eating grin on my face. Where I was like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, okay, so does sex with just the two of you ever feel boring then?
No. Yeah.
No.
Our relationship on its own is so solid. We've got such a great sex life and good communication that adding girls, you were saying earlier how couples do it to spice things up. Like, that was never a goal or desire for us. It was kind of just like, I think we might like this, and it's kind of like something different. It's like,
I think this is ironic that we're recording this the day after Valentine's Day, and me and Bobby are so fucking single, and you guys just like, we're in love and everything's great. Me and Bobby are like, cool. That's really
maybe
good for
you should date couples.
That's what we just said. I'm like, maybe this is where I'm fucking up. Like, maybe
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing wrong.
Well,
but
it was funny on the way up. I was like, the one question that I'm gonna ask is like, I can't get one girl to like me, and this guy's got two. How do you do that, bro? Like, how do you manage that?
Listen,
Seriously.
I jokingly say they come for her, and maybe I give a little bit extra, but like I've told
You're the
other-
icing on the cake, but
I
she's
would-
the foundation.
Oh, absolutely. I'm like, they're looking for her. It's a girl looking for a girl, and it's like, okay, are you okay with my husband as well?
she's like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, some girls are like, I get it, but I jokingly said it to other people. I'm like, I've had more sex with girls with my wife than I did when I was single. I'm like, I've had way more.
That's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, like three
That's great.
times as much. I mean, it obviously helps that my wife is smoking hot to bring
I
in
can
the other
confirm.
girls.
I can confirm.
Yes, but I mean, we jokingly said like we're like a Make-A-Wish Foundation because there's a lot of, especially like divorced, like recently divorced women that would say, my husband was so boring in bed. I've always wanted to be with a woman. And it would be kind of like a one-time thing for them. So we would find, I mean, it was, when we first started, it was like exhausting. We had so many like first dates, and then like another girl would come over. And like, that's the thing too. There was a lot of first dates where we'd meet them and either we didn't really feel like a vibe or they didn't feel a vibe.
Yeah, we were definitely a niche for people who wanted the experience.
So do you guys fuck on the first date?
No, not the first date. It only happened like once.
Yeah.
There
and
was a girl that was
because
leaving.
She was going away
Yeah.
to like somewhere really far away.
And Sarah's like,
the
I
next
gotta
day.
have this girl.
So I'm going, Sarah's looking at me and she's like, let's take her home. And I'm like, no, we have that rule. We don't on the first date. And she's like, we're breaking that rule tonight.
Why? Out of curiosity, why?
Well, honestly, we did it to make them feel comfortable. So when we would first like talk to them, we'd say, hey, we'd love to take you out and get to know you better, get some drinks. And they'd be like, and they'd kind of ask questions. They'd be nervous. And they wouldn't even ask that question. We'd say up front, we never, no hanky-panky,
Yeah, like no
get
expectations.
no expectations.
You don't go into it being like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I have to fuck these people.
Yeah.
Also, we like to take people out and have some drinks, and alcohol changes people's decisions. And I'm the same way, maybe later I'd be like, I was
thought
drunk
I was
and
into this.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like, I'm not really like, I don't want someone to make that decision.
No.
Drunk and come home with a couple and then be like, this is a bad decision. It was all alcohol related.
And like some girls would be like, oh, but what if we really hit it off? And I'm like, no, you're going home tonight and we're going home. And then you can like think about it. And then if you want to come over for the second date, you can come over our house. Like
You can literally come over 24 hours from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have a question. So if you have out of 10 first dates or whatever, out of those 10 dates, how many of those people this is their first time exploring into a polygamous or polyamorous? Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's like a hippopotamus. A hippopotamus.
Technically,
Polyamorous.
yeah, but
Polyamorous.
technically, like what we were doing before is we were like really in like the swingers like mindset. We weren't hooking up with couples, but they still think swingers are couples that are bringing girls in. I mean, they had used the term like unicorn hunters and stuff like that. So unicorn is a girl that wants to hook up with a couple.
And it's a unicorn because it's very hard to find.
It's very hard to
They're
find, so they call it a
mythical
unicorn.
Creature.
And if it's a
Beautiful,
guy, they call him a
rainbow.
dragon.
Are
Again,
dragons harder to find than unicorns?
I
I'm
guess
just
they're
saying.
both mythical and hard to find. But that was, yeah, so I would say that the majority of them, I don't know, maybe like
A lot.
a lot. Probably like 80%.
Yeah.
80% of them, this is their first
I
time
would
just
say.
diving in.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was an experience. Not a lot, like you were saying, divorced women who had like shitty sex lives or horrible husbands, which is why they're divorced. But also, some of them were younger women that were like, I want to dive into a monogamous relationship, but before I do that, I want to have like
Tick
a
this
threesome.
bucket list.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of bucket list people that they only want to do it one time. And we would tell them, we say, listen, we're okay with one time. If you want to make this like a regular thing, it's up to you. Like no expectations whatsoever. But we kind of, even going into it, once we first started doing it, we kind of thought it'd be more fun to have something more like a girlfriend. And we had that with maybe like 2 or 3 girls where we would not just hook up with them, but we'd go out to dinner and like we went to a couple concerts and stuff like that. And we were always open to it, but we didn't want to like have that expectation on them, and they were scared away by it. They're just like, I just want to hook up and that's it.
So what do you think would happen if one of you said to the other, you know what, change your mind. I just want it to be us.
It's
It would
fine.
just be us.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing too, is that, my biggest concern when I did it, they're like, oh, they're doing this because Jay isn't happy with Sarah. He's not satisfied with her. He's not sexually satisfied with her.
That's
so he wants
like
to bring
a
a girl.
fear he has of other people
Yes.
that we know finding out about. I mean, a lot of our friends know how we are
Yes.
now, but that originally was a fear of his for them.
Yeah, like do your neighbors now?
Probably.
Probably. I was gonna say they're like, there's a new fucking car there every
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday night.
Does
Yeah.
your family know?
My family knows, his does not.
My brother knows. That's about it.
It never ends. I'm
And-
getting more and more mind blown as this is going.
And the funny thing is, when I told my brother, I was away on like a golf trip with him for a weekend, and he's like, oh, I'm not surprised. I'm like, why are you not surprised? He's like, oh, mom and dad were swingers completely. He's like, I found pictures.
Oh shit!
Damn.
So then why doesn't your family know if they were already
So-
kind of exposed?
So like we'll get into it, the whole like relationship we have now. Like now I'm at a point where I want to tell them, and I was actually going to tell them because they were local, and then they like just moved. Like my whole family lives in Florida, and it was one of those things where it was like, well, you know, they're going to meet our girlfriend because we're going to go to the beach.
They actually have met her.
They have met her a couple
Yeah,
times.
But
They
it's
just
not as that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm like actually like in the process of like, I was going to tell them like via like FaceTime, but I'm actually going to, I was supposed to visit them soon.
Over the phone.
Yeah.
You know, when
Yeah.
you're hanging out with someone face to face and, you know, you're having a day with them or a night or a dinner, you know, personal information, it's easy to bring up and just talk about your life.
Well,
But-
because you pick up on body language and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
and it's like a whole night or a whole day or a whole weekend. Calling someone and telling them something personal like that, it's weird. You know, I have my sister's international, and we had a trip to go visit her in April of last year, which obviously was canceled, and that's when I was going to tell her, and then it got canceled and some crazy family drama ended up, and I told her, and she was kind of like, you know, you could tell me this. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like calling you on the phone, it's just weird. I wanted a sitting down, hanging out, talking, and it naturally coming out. I'm not afraid of how you're going to receive the information. It's more just like, how do you just bring it up? Hey, guess what? I have a girlfriend. Like, what? Huh? Aren't you
So
married?
getting into that a little bit, I have so many questions about that. So you are dating someone now.
Yes.
How long have you been with her?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years in June.
Like a year and a half, yeah.
So you guys are no longer seeing anybody else besides the three of you, correct?
Yes.
And she's not seeing anybody else either?
So, the first year we were totally monogamous, or closed triad, not monogamous, closed triad. So closed, like just the three of us. And then fairly recently we had the conversation of like we can't really provide for her the level of relationship that we can provide to each other.
That was my next question. Perfect.
We realized,
yeah.
good job.
you know what, we tried, but then this is the first relationship that we've had other than the two of us. So, you know, it was new.
So she's your first girlfriend that you
Yes.
just had.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we felt bad that we weren't really like providing what she wanted to.
Like Christmas and like holidays.
No,
and that
we
kind
do
of
all
thing, or,
that.
like-
Yeah, we
it's
do all
more
that.
like
Yeah.
she wants like equal parts, which I think is a totally reasonable thing to want, but
it's not what you two are looking for.
It's not necessarily what we're not. It's hard. It's hard to give it.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's hard
like,
to give it, and we
we've been
felt
together for so long,
Yeah.
and there's this dynamic between the two of us that we have trouble letting go of. I guess
I was
should
like,
say.
if we all met all at the same time, it might be different. We had obviously this history already, and we just felt kind of like we felt a little guilty, so we kind of just like let her know. And now we're kind of like opening it up. So like, especially in like the poly community, sometimes they have like primary relationships and secondary relationships. So what happens is like this is kind of like we have our primary relationship and she's kind of like a secondary. So what we kind of open it up is that she can then go and have a primary relationship.
Which was her. She said
It was her idea, yes.
Communication again, number one to all of you listeners that are looking for a relationship or have relationships. Communication, absolutely number one. But when we talked about it, you know, I was like, this is what we can give. I know you want more. I don't know, you know, how we can reconcile that. And she said, what if I look for a primary? Would you guys be okay with that? And we said, absolutely. That
So
100%.
we're not looking for another relationship, but has the opportunity to look, and she's gone out, she's gone on dates, whatnot. She said it really didn't work out. I mean, obviously a pandemic is a hard
it's a
time
hard
to
time to
date
date,
as well. But
So
yeah,
is she dating men and women, or just men, or?
It sounds like men.
It sounds like she's interested in finding a male primary, but I'm sure if a female primary happened upon, I mean, she has in the past dated male and female, so I don't think she would be opposed to that. It's just more what she's searching.
But like, even to
online
answer your
dating right
question, like, yeah, like she came over during Christmas, like she knows our family, we know her family, like we've gone over and eaten dinner with her family, and again, it's like, it's definitely like a different dynamic. But I mean, she's gone on vacations with us. I mean, she spent the entire weekend with us. But even saying, Sarah, with like communication, like we have this thing we call town hall. So every Sunday after the weekend, we pretty much say, okay, it's town hall, let's talk. And someone can bring up anything like, I'm upset by this. There's something I want to talk about in terms of like scheduling.
You do that with just Sarah or
No, all
three
three of us.
Yeah.
Just to talk about like anything like in the relationship. And sometimes she'll say, hey, guy, like this is a perfect example of like, you know, she might say something like, hey, during like you guys are doing this podcast and you're talking about me, maybe I can be included next time. Like it's one of those things where it's just people voicing any issues they might have with the relationship or anything that's going on. And it really, I mean, it does help because instead of being like waiting and like thinking about it, you know, it's like eating at you about something in the relationship, it's like, no, say it right now. And sometimes
that's like good advice,
I
even
love that.
for
Yeah.
a regular relationship.
Absolutely.
You're just like, hey, listen, babe,
Once a
you know,
week.
guy or girl, you know, Sunday town hall meeting.
we do
like,
it right
what's up?
before like right before breakfast, so that way like, and even like all in good like mind, like you haven't had like a couple drinks in you or something along those lines.
Right.
And
sometimes, you know, we say, town hall, it was a great weekend. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this. You know, it's not always negative things,
Yeah.
but it opens that doorway. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, I have this tricky thing I want to talk about, but we're having fun right now, or watching a movie, or this cool thing is happening. I don't want to like bring down the mood. It opens that door. Like whatever you want to talk about, whether it's hard or easy, you know.
I mean, Sunday
at
it was
it.
like everybody being like, this weekend was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
love that.
Everyone's
That's
like, oh my God, I had so
amazing.
much fun. And like, this is so great. I'm like so glad like we did this and did this. And I'm looking forward to next weekend. And like, I'm like anybody else. And like someone else can like chime in.
And then there's sometimes where you're like, you know, I know that you didn't mean it, but you said this and it made me feel uncomfortable. And I understand what you were, you know, again, it has that.
For as unconventional as this like relationship is, that was probably the most
Healthy?
conventional
Right.
advice that you
Yeah.
could give to
Yeah.
anybody. I mean, that's fucking killer. I wrote it down. I'm not
That's
kidding.
good.
I just
I was
opened
wondering
up
what you were
notes.
typing
Yeah,
over there.
no, it's
I just wrote up.
It's very-
I wrote it down. Town hall meeting. Like,
mean-
that's killer. You because you can do that with significant others. You can
Yep.
do that with your friends. You can
Yep.
do that with your family.
Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely.
kids,
Yep.
everything. Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck,
And I mean,
am-
like when we first, like even like first started, like it was a big thing too, even like in terms of like sexually, like we would, after we were done, we were just like, hey, I liked it when you did this. I really didn't like this. Like, and that's the thing too, is like normally like when you're with someone, you're like, I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
But like here would just be like, hey, by the way, I'm just going to say it right now. Like yes to this, no to this next time. And then like going in, you're like, you know, like there's always been big communication, like in the relationship we are like in with her. And it's just been, that's what's made it, I think, like work. And don't get me wrong, like it's not easy. It's an unconventional.
Like I said, bro, I can't get one girl to like me, and you're managing two. Like that's insane.
So do you guys always do things, all three of you? Like, are there certain points where maybe you and Gabby J will hang out, and Sarah, you and Gabby will hang out, or you know, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, situationally, I mean, a lot recently because my job, I have not stopped working at all, and Jay and Gabby have. So there's a lot of times that they're, you know, home alone.
I was gonna say, so
you know,
do you ever bang her without Sarah?
There are, yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say that. There's, yeah,
And that doesn't bother either of you at all.
no, I mean,
Not even like one
usually-
town hall, guys. Tell me the truth. Not even like 1% at all.
So it's evolved. It's definitely evolved. So let's say look, when we first started
Yeah,
dating her,
it was
was
not
like
allowed.
I'm going
I
to
was
work.
not okay with that.
I'm going to work. She's going to sleep in the guest bedroom, and you're going to sleep. And then it was like, and it kind of evolved where it's like, okay, I'm okay with you sleeping, but no sexual activity. And then it's like, okay, I'm okay with sexual activity, but not this. So it definitely has evolved.
Yeah.
And then now it's to a point where it's funny. Like now it's to a point where I don't really like crave that always. Where I'm like, well, I want to like be alone with just Gabby, because like.
it was like a new toy in the beginning. Like,
Yeah,
I wanna
yeah.
touch it.
Because what happened was I realized is that like sex alone with a girl is fucking great, but like throw in the threesome, like it just adds so much to it. There's so much more things you can kind of get into that like
Literally and figuratively.
yes, yes, exactly.
I'm so proud of that. That was a great comment. That was a great comment.
Did I steal that from you?
Yeah, that was so good.
I wish you guys could see Bobby's face right now. He looks like
I'm
he
enamored.
I love it. It's great. It's
Yeah.
good. So does she ever get jealous of the two of you when you spend time together?
Yes, like she kind of brought that up in the beginning. Like she was definitely jealous, and I know there's times that she's jealous because obviously we're together, you know, more often, and we do our best.
I learned you're the primary.
Yeah.
Learning.
Good
Yes.
boy. Good boy.
So we're, you know, we do our best to try to like make her feel included, and you know, we try to obviously plan a lot of times to hang out with her. But there's there's going to be jealousy that she's going to have that we really can't alleviate.
Yeah,
you know?
which is another reason why she's searching for a primary to give her a little bit more of that desire, like satisfy that need of hers that we can't really
fulfill.
Yeah. And again, it's not easy. I mean, it's not
because we
easy
don't
dynamic.
want to be able
No,
to fulfill it,
no.
but you know, it as much as you think through it, it doesn't always work out.
Well, you only have so much time in a day, too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, what are you going to do?
Right.
What do you think the biggest challenge is in being in this kind of relationship in general?
For me, it's making two girls happy. That's not always the easiest.
Dude, my fucking man.
Two
dude.
girls that require more attention than I
Yes.
think. I mean, me alone, I'm like, yep, pay attention to me all the time.
They-
and
I hear that.
Gabby
I get
is
that.
the same exact way.
They
so
they like emotional attention. They like physical attention. Like make sure that you're touching both of them. Like you come in, hey, how are
we
you
have
doing? And then
3
make sure
dogs,
she gets it
which
too.
helps a little bit with the
Yes,
physical
yes,
contact
yes.
when needed.
Speaking of the dogs, if you guys hear them walking around, if you hear anything, this is actually the first time we've traveled somewhere to record. We're actually recording in Jay and Sarah's home. So let's just real quick. Good plug here. You guys are awesome. Thank you for letting us come
thank
to
you
your
for having
house and everything. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you
Second
guys are
thing,
here.
I feel like your biggest challenge is any like heterosexual male's like wet dream because like, oh, what do you mean you have to balance two girls? That's freaking perfect. That's what I want. You know what I mean?
It is, but it's not like that's like if you were a guy dating two different girls, like on their own. So you're like, oh, I'm balancing it where it's like, oh, like, but here's like they're together. So that's like kind of the hard thing too, where it's like, you know, like any girl, like you give her a compliment. Like I don't want to like compliment the one and you can't compliment the other, or that she's jealous that you did this, or so that's kind of. And I've said it before, like that's
juggle.
the part. That's the juggle. That's the juggle part of it. I mean,
The juggle struggle.
yeah. I mean, we all three of us have like an amazing sexual chemistry. So that part to me, like that part's like easier for me. It's the like emotional and like
Right.
maybe one's in a bad mood and the other one isn't, and that's the thing too is that there's like, you know, I don't mean to come off sexist, but like two girls sometimes are gonna get catty with one another, and I have to sometimes like play referee. You know, so
What do you
that's
think about that.
yeah, yeah.
So do you and Gabby ever fight?
Yeah, I mean, not really.
No.
I can get like, we'll get like snippy, I guess, with each other, but it's never like a
But I
fight.
guess it's no
No.
different
Yeah.
than you two getting snipped. I'm sure you two have gotten in arguments.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
So what does that look like when the two of you are in an argument? You're supposed to hang out with Gabby. Can you set your shit
So-
aside?
No, I mean sometimes we just hash it out in front of her.
One of the good things actually is which I never would have thought of before being immersed in it, is having a third person as like kind of
A mediator.
yes,
Yeah, a mediator.
a
Yep.
mediator being like, okay, I understand what you're saying and that's valid, and I understand what you're saying and that's valid, but let's like, I think you guys are misunderstanding, you know. It's like a separate person outside of the fight, kind of seeing it from the outside, that cares about both people that are involved in it, and she's helped us through some things that.
It's almost like if Sarah went, like you guys got in a fight and Sarah went to her best friend to say something, and then you went to your best guy friend, and then they both gave each other advice, but you just have that person who you
Yeah.
just also happen
Right
to be in a
there.
relationship
Well,
with.
and then it's the girl that's not gonna be like, yeah, you're right, fuck him. Like she
Yeah,
actually
Right,
cares.
yes,
right,
yes,
right.
she
She
cares.
cares
Right.
about both parties, and she's like, I understand what you guys are saying, but like, I think that this.
I think Sarah likes it because 95% of the time Gabby agrees with her.
Because I'm right 95% of the time. I'm
I mean,
sorry.
hey, I hear that.
No, like, and then I jokingly say it. I'm like, you don't have to always side with her. Like, just sarcastic with her, and she'll
And
just
she
say,
says, I
well,
only side when she's right.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna side with the
I
person
like
that's
this
right.
girl.
Yeah.
She sounds awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's definitely helped us out with some communication stuff too. Like she's kind of like Gabby's brought up things that I didn't really like see, that like, you know, well, Sarah's upset in this situation because of this.
And you're just
and
like,
I'm like,
fuck.
oh my God, I never thought of it that way. Because, you know, and it's like another girl seeing another girl's perspective.
So you're in a relationship now. We've talked about that quite a bit. Obviously, you guys didn't just find a girlfriend overnight. It's been, what, 5 years now of this?
Yep.
So what was that like getting to that point? Like, were there struggles? Like, how did you guys adapt? Just tell me more about that part of it.
I would say, especially like the physicality part of it, like the sexual part of it. You know, Sarah would jokingly say like it's a new toy. So a lot of times I wasn't good
Like
at
the girl was the new toy?
Yes.
Okay.
So I wasn't really good at like making sure it was like an equal situation where they both were satisfied in terms of like really like paying attention to them. Let's say like in bed too. So a lot of times it was like my mindset was I have to please this girl, and then once it was just Sarah and I again, she would say things to me like, you just pay attention to her the whole time. And I would say,
well, I think that's pretty common. I was going to have that question is if it were me, I would think like, oh, he's fucking her more than he's fucking me. Like, does that ever happen?
And
like
to me, like from a guy's perspective, I would be like, I have to make sure I fuck this girl really good because she's not going to want to come back.
Yeah.
And if this is what we're
Yeah.
into, like,
Yeah,
I got to...
and he did. That was definitely your mindset a lot
was.
in situations like if he didn't like perform as well as he thought one night, he'd be like, "That's why she didn't come back." And I'm
Yeah.
like, don't put so much pressure on that.
She's like, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, but also a lot of his mindset was him fucking the new girl, new toy phenomenon. I called it. But
and
at the
did that
same
hurt your
time,
feelings at all?
It didn't, because I get super turned on by seeing him having sex with another girl, so I was getting pleasure from that. But I was not getting as much pussy as I wanted, because I'm like, hey, remember why we started this whole thing? Like, when your penis is in there, I can't have my mouth on it so much. So
I love this.
Amazing.
sorry if that was a little vulgar, but then again, communication, talking about it. Hey, let's do a little bit more balanced situation. He's like, oh yeah, okay. Take a step back, realize the situation, and that.
Yeah, like
that
especially
definitely
when they
was a
first come, like we'd always
trial and
say,
error.
to them, and like one of like the good like tags that we'd like text to them would say, we can't wait to both attack you, and the girl's like, oh my god, I'm gonna get it from like a guy and a girl. We'd always say like, we're the best of both worlds. It was like the pickup line to say them, and that's what happened. Like when they'd come over, we would basically give her all the attention,
right.
but then I had to realize that it doesn't have to be the entire time,
Right.
which I would. At the end of it, she would say, you didn't fuck me at all. I'm like, yes, I did. She's like, no, you didn't. I'm like,
Fuck, I didn't.
let me review the footage.
Referee goes into the booth.
All right, so I'm just super interested, just for selfish reasons, like threesomes. Like, any tips for threesomes
So
from a male and a female?
I would say some of the some of the positions you see like in porn, it just like it doesn't really work. It just doesn't. I mean, like
what? Get specific here.
so.
Not that I'm taking notes.
No,
I'm just
no,
curious.
Caitlin has no pants on right now.
I'm like sitting on my hands right now.
So like trying like me fucking a girl with her trying to like go down on her at the same time, like maybe like a 69 position, right?
Okay.
And then me on the edge of the bed. The girl's head gets in the way. Like it just doesn't work that way. But you'll watch like pornos and you're like, oh wow, yeah, that would work, but it doesn't. I mean, we've kind of had like trial and error of things that just like did work and didn't work, and then the more experienced you are with it, you just know like we're not gonna try that.
So one of our rules from the beginning, which is more of a fun rule than a bad rule, but everyone's always involved. So that like
That was another question I had.
yeah, when girls were like, what are your boundaries? What are your rules? That was basically the only rule. Everyone's involved. And it's pretty easy to keep someone involved at all times. Even when you have more of like a male-female, sex situation position, the third, can like grab some balls or boobs or kiss or, like there's always a way to work in a third situation. Obviously there's more fun positions, like he was saying when he's like behind a girl and like fucking the girl and then the other girl's face is in the other girl's vagina. That's fun.
It's very meta.
That's a really good one. Easy to.
So
to
how do you
please
time
for
out?
all.
Like, what if everybody doesn't come? What if only the guy comes? Then what happens?
Well, I'm very good at not like holding out. So I can hold out for like a pretty long time. So I want to make sure that like everybody gets off, and then because that's the thing too is that like especially in a threesome, like generally when the guy comes, like it's over.
Yeah.
I mean the girls can still go at it, but I mean that kind of is like the end result. In terms of like you were saying like tips too, like what Sarah's saying, like me behind one of the girls, the other girl's going in on the other one, and then if you reach forward and grab the girl who's laying down her legs, and you kind of can pull and push at the same time.
Oh my
Oh my God!
Fucking
Wow.
a girl
That is
into
like
another girl.
you fuck
it's,
the
like,
girl
great.
into the other girl.
Because
Dude,
you
they go
kind of
nuts.
like feel both. It's great. It's
I'm
great.
feeling a lot right now. I'm not gonna lie.
So that's a good one. And we you're saying about like people coming is that we jokingly say like we're always striving for like the trifecta where like all three of you come at the same time, and like we've
Is that possible?
oh yeah
Oh, yes.
oh yeah absolutely
Yeah, it's pretty great.
yeah.
But
I can't.
also we get a lot of pleasure.
I think
from,
I'm fucking the wrong guy. I think, maybe.
We get a lot of pleasure from giving pleasure. Also, our girlfriend feels the same way. So, sex between the three of us is just like everybody wants to please and be pleased. So it's pretty easy to get, group satisfaction
Absolutely.
from that dynamic.
That's great. I'd love to have her on here, and I'd love our listeners to weigh in. If you guys would like, I don't know if she even would, but if you guys would like to hear from Gabby, maybe that'll be a nice follow-up episode.
Absolutely. I have a question. Would you ever introduce a fourth?
That's a good question. So we've actually talked about it with
And
her.
male or female too.
So
Jay is jealous of males.
I am. I don't mean to
got-
sound like the jealous guy, but I definitely
Although he has said in the past it would depend upon the male.
yes,
So
it would depend on the guy.
if we had a guy friend who was single and willing to be, adventurous and he didn't feel intimidated by him, maybe, but we don't have that in our group and we're not like searching for it.
What
So
about
we-
another girl?
We brought it up. So we brought it up with our girlfriend at the time, and we just said, "Hey, would you be interested in?" And we said, "Look, we're not. It's kind of like what we did. Like it's just casual sex. Like it's not. We're not trying to get another girl in our relationship. But would you be interested in it?" And she kind of was like, she was kind of into it, and we then kind of like pursued it a little bit, and then she just wasn't as interested. And we're like, "Listen, we don't have to do it. We just thought like it'd be fun to try."
Yeah.
So
Like the spice it up
I
comment.
think I might be, again, I can't answer this honestly without Gabby here to answer for herself, but I think I might be the only person that's really turned on by watching other people fuck.
yeah, because she brought that up. She's like,
Yeah,
"I don't really
she's
get
not
off on
as-
seeing."
Like, she's into seeing us have sex together
Mm-hmm.
because she loves us, but I don't think it's as a turn on just like,
Watching people fuck.
Right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
like I'm more sexually adventurous in like it would turn me on to like go to like an orgy or like have like a sex party and like seeing other people fuck in front of me and like me fucking in front of like that just all turns me on. But I think I'm kind of alone in that in this relationship, not in the world obviously. There's tons of people out
But
there.
you guys have brought it up where like kind of the once the world opens back up again is that they want to go to a sex club, and Sarah wanted to do it for a long time, and I'm like, I don't think I'm into it. But now that it's like we're kind of in this different relationship where they're both into it, I'm like, I'll do it. I'll go. I mean, are we just gonna go and watch people go at it? Like, I'm not sure, but I'm intrigued. So that's a big thing too, is that like with our relationship with her, is that she definitely like opened me up, because I mean, people like whenever we talk to someone, they're like, "Oh, well, what are your kinks? Like, what are you guys into?" And I always jokingly would say, "Well, I think a threesome's pretty kinky. I don't think that we need to do anything else." But with Gabby, she actually opened up me to other things that Sarah wanted to try that I was like, huh,
Like a
just
little like BDSM.
yeah. So that
cool.
stuff
Minor, not like
yeah.
hardcore. Just
Putting your
subtle.
head through a wall or anything.
No, like cuffs and that stuff. So and Sarah was like kind of into it. And what happened was, when we didn't have a girlfriend at the time, it was just like us casually hooking up with people. It was like, the first time you're not going to do this stuff that's a little over the top.
Well, it's just like a guy in a monogamous, relationship. It's like a guy and a girl having a one night stand. Like,
Yeah.
One night stands is the worst sex I've ever had in my entire life. I've had them, plenty of them. Okay, worst sex ever. It's fun. The fun part about a one night stand is never about the sex. I feel like it's like more about the chase. It's more about like everything going up and whatnot, and because it's never good. The sex, you
Yeah,
never
I don't know.
really.
I've always had this argument. I think one night stands are great because if I know you and like we're friends and I'm like, punch me in the face, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But if it's like a stranger, he's like, yo, this bitch asked me to punch her in the face last night, and we never have to talk about it again.
Yeah, but it's not.
That's an interesting perspective on it. Yeah.
Not as many girls are as forward as you, though. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So like,
if you're forward about what you want, then it can be
Then it's
fun.
different.
Yeah.
But I would say
Yeah.
A lot of people-
99% of girls are not. So you
See,
go in there
I'm
and you're
more
awkward.
forward with a stranger than I am with like a guy I'm dating. I'm like, I still want to think I'm like cool and nice and sweet. So like, I'm not gonna
That
ask
makes
for what I
sense.
actually want.
Makes
But then a
sense, yeah.
stranger, I'm like, fuck it. If
Yeah,
we're gonna do
because-
this.
yeah, who
I'm
cares?
never gonna see you again. So might as well make this worth my time.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great approach to one night stands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Sarah had a coworker that his girlfriend wanted to be choked all the time, and he thought that was normal. So the first time he hooked up with another girl, he started choking her, and the look of fear he said on her eyes when he's like, "You don't do this every time?"
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some girls who have had like past traumas because I've
Yeah.
had that before because I've choked girls and whatnot, and I mean sexually choked girls.
I feel like we need a disclaimer on that one. That could be a soundbite that goes real bad.
Right.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa! I've
Isolate
choked
that
girls
one.
before. Yeah, but yeah, like I've done it before, and like there's girls who are like, "Yo, you need to like dial back because I've had some things that kind of freak me out," and then there's other girls who are like, "You need to step it up. Like, what? You're a bitch," and I'm like, well, "Okay, sorry." You know what I mean?
But in the same breath too, there's guys that don't like to choke women as well.
Yeah, and then I have friends like that too who they're like, "Are you serious? I would never do that." I'm like, a lot of them like it. You should probably do it. You should probably do it. Most do.
That's what grows with the different as time goes on and you learn what people like and don't like. That's what makes your sex life better or worse if you're not communicating about it. But I love that you just go all out. You're just like, do this to me now.
I'm like, why not? I don't even know how we got here. What were we talking about?
Who gives a shit? Honestly, how did we get to this whole topic?
It's
Which
great.
is just,
I love
it's I'm enamored. I really am. I'm enamored. So, I do have a question. It's easier. You have mentioned multiple times. It's like way easier for chicks to like get into this world. What would you,
as far as like to be the third in the relationship? I think you mean.
What suggestions do you think you would give to a guy? Because I mean, let's be honest, chicks are hot. I mean, Jay and I can agree. Who doesn't want two chicks?
I
You
can
know what
agree.
I mean? So,
Chicks are hot.
Yeah.
well, I guess
I'll weigh in on that too. They are. We
Yeah,
are.
exactly. Everyone here agrees. Chicks are hot.
I'd much rather get a tit pic than a dick pic.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm sure Jay would agree.
Yep.
But like, what advice would you give to like a guy who is, you know what I mean? Not that you have experience with it, but at least you have experience in the community and whatnot.
I would say, there are a lot of, groups out there, even like Facebook groups. Like there's poly Facebook groups. And the funny thing is that the majority of the people on that group are guys being like, hey, I'm looking for a couple. So, I mean, like with that or same thing going on.
Is that frowned upon though? Is it, what I
No,
mean?
that's what the
like
group
kind of
is
going
for.
on like a podcast group and plugging your own podcast.
No,
you
that's,
know what I mean?
That's
like,
what the group is for, like couples and singles looking for a couple or a single.
Or just sexually adventurous people,
Yeah.
getting together and talking about.
And there's no
that.
shame or anything that happens
No.
on there?
Yeah,
Cool.
no, and that's I think a lot of the groups that we've found. I've had groups that I've joined, trying to find out more about poly or some situation, and it'll be like super judgmental, and instantly I'm like, no, I'm not interested in this. I don't want you to judge me. Like it's already unconventional. Why is there a right way or a wrong way? That's stupid. But I have found a few groups that are like super open, helpful, supportive of whatever situation it is. For single males getting into it, I think that that's definitely the most difficult approach. And my suggestion would be dial down the male knob and try to turn up the female knob.
What do you mean by that?
And
Stop thinking with your dick.
Yes, it's all about even the females like sex. I mean, I've talked a lot about sex already tonight. I love it and I'm super into it. But when I talk to someone, I'm not going to be like, hi, I'm Sarah. I love sex. Let me see your dick. That's how a brain kind of works in that direction. Maybe not that blunt, but
No.
Yeah.
We're pretty
Okay.
close.
Yeah, it is.
when you're in these unconventional situations and looking to meet people and get into that all like automatically will scare people away.
Yeah.
And this brings us back to when we were dating, like random girls, online dating, trying to find girls to have casual sex with. We would get in a group, we would match with a girl. She would be like, yeah, I'm interested in a couple. I would open a group text message. A lot of times I wake up stupid early, so I have to go to bed early. Jay would be awake late, drinking, and I would wake up in the morning to like the guy knob being turned up max.
Oh yeah.
let me see your tits. I want to like, let me see you naked.
My man.
You know, yeah. Guy knob, again, max volume. And then either the girl would be totally scared away, or more often than not, I would be like, this is a dude. I would open my phone in the morning and be like, you chatted with the dude all night last night.
I'm
He's
like, no, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
No, what
Look,
are you talking about?
Here's her naked.
I'm like, you see this full frontal dude picture? And then you see the next one that they sent? I'm like, there's no way that this thin blonde hair could ever look like this thick black curly hair. Those are two different
Right?
girls.
I'm like, there's hair in that picture?
Oh, that's
Sorry, I was
good.
fixated on the tits. My
Yeah.
bad.
That's what
So
happened.
wait, so you're saying that he was getting catfished in the
Oh,
end?
yes.
yes.
Oh, a lot.
I've been
And he
so
would
and
many
he was
times.
blind to it,
and
didn't
he
even
would be
notice
sending naked pictures of me to these rent. So
Yes.
I had to put a ban. I said, if I'm not awake, you are not allowed to send
I
any
made
pictures
many-
of me. If you want to send pictures of yourself, go for it. That's all on
And
you.
just to
but-
clarify, these were like recycled photos, not like you sleeping naked photos,
Correct.
right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
I
yes,
just had to
yes,
ask. I had to ask.
Hey, check out my wife. She's like passed out.
Yeah. No, I got catfished a lot in the beginning. And
Yeah.
also you could
because
see...
he would have his male
Yes.
knob turned up max, and I get it. That
It
male
would be
and
like,
female
do you want to
brains
see
work
me naked?
differently.
And I'm like, yeah. And then it'd be like, let me see your wife naked. I'm like, okay. And then later I realized like it's just a guy trying to get naked pictures of.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fucked up.
So
Yeah, it happens
as
a
a
lot.
single guy going into it, talk to as many females as you can and try to like hone into their vibe and try to just turn that up just for the beginning, just to get your foot in the door. Then later, once the other
Mood's been
people,
set.
yes, exactly, because it eventually will move to that point. Just be patient. Then you can turn the male knob back up and let the dick rule the show.
I had a question that is so far, I mean, it's on topic to like your relationship and everything else, but it's so far off of like where we just came from, but I don't want to forget it. Now, I'm also going to say for editing purposes, and I'll leave this on, I don't care, for editing purposes, take a 2-second pause before you answer, because if you don't want to answer, that's fine. Do you guys plan on having kids, and what does that look like with having a third?
So
No kids.
yeah, when we got together, we were all gung ho about kids. It was like we had names picked out. We bought this house with
3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms
To have kids in.
To have kids in. I don't know how long it took, but I guess it was going on like vacations with family and seeing them with kids.
You're like, fuck this.
The
And I was-
reality
yeah,
of children.
Yeah,
Turned us off to children.
And then we were both sitting on the beach one time in the summer, and she was like, I need to talk to you about something. And I'm like, uh-oh. And she's like, I don't think I want to have kids anymore. I'm like, oh my God, I've been thinking about this for the past like 2 months. I don't want to have kids anymore. So
Okay.
we like went out and
Wow.
celebrated. I got a
Got a
vasectomy.
girlfriend? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I had a vasectomy, so it makes it a lot easier.
Great way to celebrate.
Yeah, so
so I would say that was like maybe 15 years ago that we
Yeah.
had that conversation.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
started your adventure into the poly community already knowing that you guys did not
Yes.
want to reproduce.
Yes.
yes.
Will you
And-
guys fuck with people who have kids? Like, would you guys
Yeah.
bring
Yeah, we
someone in
did.
who would have children? Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I'm
we had
not
a couple.
against children. I
No,
like
not at all.
children. I just don't want to have my own children.
Right. And and Gabby is like
More
anti-kids.
anti than
She's
anyone I've ever met.
anti-kids.
Yeah.
So that actually is something like made it a little bit easier too as well, where she knew like she's like, I absolutely do not want kids.
I'm just curious. I like your answer. I mean, it's your life, so you can do whatever you want. I just wish the answer was the opposite, because I would love to know, like, what would that look like?
So
you know what I
there
mean?
are, again,
Yeah, there are.
we have explored a lot. I've learned so much in the past year about the poly community, and I think that that's one of the not most fun, but it's definitely a separate bonus to this adventure that we had, is discovering how many other people out there have unconventional relationships and learning about those and how they're different. And there's some where there's a poly couple that dates another poly couple and both of them have kids.
Fuck,
and
that was my question.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
there's tons of people do it.
It's so, there's a lot of people out there that make it work. I mean, there's a few thruples that I actually follow on Instagram, and one of them recently got engaged and got married, and the couple originally that was married has kids and then brought in this third, and now it's like just she's just another mom
Yeah.
added to the group,
Yeah.
you know?
So I have an interesting question about that because I know a couple similar to your situation, and a friend of mine were talking about this, and she's like, I don't know how I could do that and have my kids see that, and then maybe they would feel like this was the norm, you know, and you're setting a norm for your own children without them ever having a choice in it. Like, what would you say to a person like that?
I mean, it's the same thing in terms of like, you know, you're teaching your kids like just because it's not normal doesn't mean it's like wrong. I mean, we have a friend that we actually run a Facebook group with, and she's bisexual, and she basically said to me like my mom was bisexual, and I kind of grew up with this, so it was just the norm for me to have men and women in my house, and she was always open to my sexuality that way. So, I mean, it's not like you're going to damage the kid by having, you know,
Honestly,
different...
I feel like kids growing up with more exposure to non-conventional relationships is healthier because you get to see the world as it is. It doesn't have to be, this is what you should do when you grow up. It doesn't have to be like that. It's just, you know, there are different
There's like
relationships.
less pressure.
Yeah, things happen. People have different feelings. So this is totally off topic, but something that I meant to say way earlier when you were talking about them being together without me, or, you know, me seeing Jay have sex with other girls. In the beginning, a lot of my response was how people would respond. You know, they would say, are you okay with him being alone with her? Like, that's your husband. Are you okay with that? And that would like trigger this instinctual response in my head to be like, maybe I'm not. Like, oh, you're responding to me like that. And then one day I was like, why am I guiding my reactions to how society wants me to respond? It's not how I feel. It's not how my brain thinks. It's not what's going on inside of me. And that struggle, letting go of that and just saying, you know what, I'm going to think how I think, whether or not it's quote unquote correct, which I don't think is, you know, logical anyway, but I'm just going to feel how I feel and think how I think. And that just took so much pressure off of me and just made this whole experience, it's like you kind of suppress it for so long, you know, I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't react that way. So
yeah, I mean, my family, and like
road.
my family, I kind of grew up with it. Like my sister had a lot of lesbian friends growing up, and my cousin was actually bisexual. So she would have a boyfriend and then a girlfriend and then a boyfriend and then a girlfriend. And it's funny, like I had a friend that kind of said something because her daughter is, she thinks she's bisexual. And I explained, even like my cousin, I'm like, she's happily married with 2 kids now. Like, it's not like she's going to turn out differently or your family's going to judge her differently just because it's not the norm. So
It's hard to say that, you know, because I talked to my buddy who is a homosexual about that, and I'm like, dude, why would you ever think that? But it's unfortunately, until you're in that frame of mind and you're in that situation, it's hard to, like you said, like, why would you ever think that people are gonna not? But unfortunately, people are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It sucks. It sucks,
and
to say
especially
that.
kids, you're worried about them getting teased and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
fuck that. I mean, I have a couple. I have a buddy of mine has 2 moms. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm sure there were some points in his life that he got teased about it. I never made fun of him. I mean, he now jokes about it sometimes, you know, or the best is when he throws it in other people's faces. He's like, yeah, well, I got 2 moms, so fuck you. You know what I mean? Like whatever.
Well, I think also, you know, we're in a time now where there's a lot more socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It makes me so happy that it is more accepted, but it's just heartbreaking when you see it not being accepted, or hate or anger, you know, response, and it's just really tough. But at the same time, I think the more kids that are exposed to it is better. You know, the more the youth of America realizes that there's other options out there than the cookie cutter family.
Yeah, and I mean, we even said it in our relationship too, where like when we started dating Gabby and we would introduce her to friends. Like, I mean, I even said it to her. I'm like, look, we're gonna introduce you to our friends, and if our friends don't like you or don't like this situation, we can make other friends. You know, we don't.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they don't have to accept what we're doing, but all of our friends are like, no one has ever made a comment, or, I mean, they're just like, oh, you're coming over? Is Gabby coming? Like, now it's just like common.
Yeah, and I want to go back to like what you just said, like, you know, and I think there's a huge difference between accepting and understanding. You don't have to accept it at all. You don't have to accept it, but you have to understand it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
I think that's really the one of the main focal points of our podcast is like, I don't necessarily agree with, I mean, Caitlin and I argue all
We
the
were just
fucking
arguing
time.
off air like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, like we argue all the time. I don't necessarily agree with everything that she has to say. Anything
I mean,
at all.
come on.
Right? But like, I understand,
Right.
and that's fine. I still don't agree with it, but I understand, and that's the most important thing, or at least I try to understand.
We're
So,
getting there.
slowly but surely.
Okay, so I think one thing we talked about quite a bit, and I want to get into it, is advice that you guys have for couples who are looking to explore the poly community. Like, what would you say to people based off of the experiences that you've had, like knowing what you know now? Like, where are maybe some places that you guys messed up in the beginning? Like, speak to that a little bit.
I mean, I would definitely, all these dating apps, sign up for everyone, set up a profile that is
work. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but you set it up for a girl looking for a girl. And then
well, now there's a lot of ones that you can say couple.
you
looking
can,
for a girl.
they do have that now, obviously. But one of the things that I have the girl be the very first profile picture, because it's a girl looking for a girl. Be very honest, exactly what you're looking for. We just put something easy, like we're looking for a girl to have fun with in and out of bed. Short, sweet, simple.
Smart. Who thought of that? Which one of you guys thought of that?
I think Sarah did. I think Sarah did.
We run the world.
One thing that we, the opening line that we stole from somebody else that we had the most success with is that whenever we match with someone, it was always hello and insert girl's name. My husband and I would love to take you out to get to know you better, because you know right away we're a couple. We're not trying to hide anything. Whenever they responded with that, it might be like, oh, that would be great. We would just say, let's go get some drinks and get to know each other better. No pressure, first date. Worst case, you get some free drinks with the great people.
Yeah.
So
that no pressure first date is big, because
Yes.
it takes a lot of the anxiety out of meeting a couple. Like you said, worst case scenario, you go out and you get some free drinks.
I wonder if that would work in a monogamous relationship. Like, hey, no pressure first date. Can you just fucking text me back? Worst comes to worst, you get free dinner.
You
Yeah,
can try
right?
it.
I think
You
it's
can
great.
try it
Yeah,
out.
why not?
See
I
what
would definitely
happens.
go on more dates if
Right?
people open like that. 1000%.
I'm not.
Typing notes down on my computer
Write it down.
now.
I'm telling you.
But also, for couples, have the female take the lead.
Yes.
Like I said earlier, the dick dial. It's hard for men.
I love that
to
dick dial.
To
Turn it down.
Turn it down. We all know it's there, and we love it. Once the time comes to turn it up,
Yes.
females love that dick dial. But in the beginning, you got to turn it down. So that's why females taking the lead
Yes.
of couples trying to find a girl or guy, whatever. I mean, if you're trying to find a guy, you probably turn the dick dial up a little bit.
But even opening up like a text message, like getting off, we found too, is getting off the dating app.
Yeah.
So as soon as they're interested, just say, I'd have Sarah basically say, hey, I'd love to open up a group message with my husband. Are you okay with sharing your number? Or we can use like a third party, texting app just to get
there's
off
a bunch
of that.
of other apps out there. If a girl is, shy about it, giving her number, there's other options other than the dating app, because those messaging systems are
terrible.
Yeah.
They're terrible. And then opening up a group message, so basically that everyone knows kind of what's going on. And then you can talk about like if the girl has questions about ground rules or boundaries along those lines. But really just like getting off of there and then letting them know like we want to take you out for a no expectation first date. We're gonna get to know each other. We're going to have drinks. There's no way you're coming home with us. Because that way, too, they know, like, oh, there isn't that pressure that it might happen later. Just to have that. Because we always want to have them feel, like, comfortable. Mm-hmm. A lot of mistakes that I saw other couples, too, is that after that first date, they're like, oh, well, we went on, like, 3 or 4 more dates. And, like, it was just, like, getting to know. And I'm like, no. The first date, you're getting to know them. The second date, when you're done that first date, you say, hey, we'd love to have you come over for a more intimate date at our house. You're letting them know right away, like,
let's fuck.
Yeah, we want to fuck. We're not pen pals. We're not friends. Like, we want to get naked with you. And if you're not interested in that, or you didn't really feel the chemistry with us, totally understandable. You can be honest, but we're not beating around the bush. We're not gonna, we're not going on 5-6 dates.
But it is work. Like,
it is.
I've had couples that we've talked with that are like, oh, like kind of flim-flammy about it. Oh, I'm on a few times, but then I'm like, you have to stay on the app.
Yes.
Message people immediately back. The girls that are I would say 80% of unicorns out there are flighty girls that are just having probably tons of couples message them. So, you have to be on it. You have to,
you gotta be
you have
aggressive.
to put the work into it. Be aggressive without being pushy and aggressive.
Aggressive.
Yes.
Right. Dick nom down.
Yes.
I mean, it probably helps that you guys are like a young, good-looking couple too. So I'm sure you guys
it
cleaned up
helps.
on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy to think because like we've talked about on this podcast like so many times like how like unsuccessful like dating apps are, and it seems like in this community it's the lifeblood.
Well,
almost.
we're in a very a good area. We're close to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia has got a big gay community and bisexual community. So
New York is even better.
New York is crazy. I mean, it's like the amount of girls you would match with is ridiculous
That
in New York.
throuple app was all New York.
Is that also? I think we talked about this before. Is that a socially acceptable term? Calling you a throuple?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I
all
gave
right.
Bobby so much shit for that.
She's
I'm
like,
like, they said it on Shameless one time. It's not a word.
No, it is. It is.
Throuple.
It is.
We are
Yeah,
a
it is
throuple.
used. We were
Okay.
a throuple. Yeah.
Okay.
Damn, I'm going to say this one, so you better take it in, Bobby. I was wrong and you were right.
Oh shit.
So one of the biggest things with poly stuff too is that like scheduling, because it's like they jokingly say that the poly symbol should be like the Google Calendar, logo, because there's so much scheduling conflicts, whatnot. But we set up a calendar so we can see what it is, but our username is thruple stuff. So it's just like for us to be able to like keep everything organized.
Couples going into finding a third, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Do not add someone to your relationship to spice things up or to fix a problem between the two of you. It won't work.
Yeah,
It
just
will
have a
never
baby.
work.
That's what everyone else does.
Yeah, none of that will work.
I mean,
I would say visit town hall if that's your problem.
Yes.
And once you have a solid relationship, because that's every girl that has been like super into us has enjoyed our love that we have between each other. They come in and they're like, this is awesome. I love how you love each other,
And we've always
And
said
I'm
like we've
excited
had
to share it.
we've
That's-
had like an overflow of love that we're okay to like share it with people. Like that's kind of like what we would tell people and say.
It's a good way to describe
Yeah,
it.
and girls would be nervous that something would happen. I would say there's nothing that you are going to do that's going to break us up or upset us. Like we have a very solid thing, and we wouldn't do this if we didn't.
Do you find that's the way that most poly relationships are?
Not always. No, we've met couples that would say, "Oh, well, I'm doing it because he really wants to have a threesome."
And
Like, that's not the right word.
yeah.
No. Or
have you met other couples who are like you guys?
So
though?
we've like matched with people and we've talked to them online just because it's like fun to say, hey, like, did you guys meet like a new girl?
Well,
and how did
actually,
it go?
in the
And-
beginning, all we met were couples.
Yeah.
And we weren't interested in couples, but we kind of befriended them. We were like, hey, we don't want to fuck you, but let's talk about
our lives.
our
I mean,
lives.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have a
The
common
interest-
ground, so-
Exactly.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
met a lot of friends that were into the same things, and some that had success, and we would share success stories and like kind of like porn share, which was fun, and like private,
Yeah.
and it was cool like to have that eye opening into how big of a community this is, because in the beginning we were like, oh, we're the only person that wants this and nobody else, and we're wrong to think it. And then we're like, oh wow, look at this, there's this whole community of people that think similarly and want
Fucking Jerry down the street does it.
Yeah, right. There was a couple that we met them, and we had a group that we run online, and she was asking all these questions, and then all of a sudden she stopped asking these questions, but she became friends with me just on Facebook, and I just saw through Facebook, I'm like, oh my God, they got divorced. So I'm like, there must have been something going on there. And then she would put stuff, oh my God, I was in this toxic relationship. So I don't know if she was just kind of get into it because the husband was into it. And then she just like recently posted something where she's like in a relationship with a girl now.
Or
I'm like,
I was gonna say, or
huh.
vice versa. She was into it and he wasn't.
be.
And
I
then
think
he
that-
was like,
I
no.
think that was the case because I talked to her first, and
Yeah.
we had a
Yep.
lot of similar grounds of
Yep.
like why she started it, and I mean,
But to
I don't
Sarah's
know them,
point
but-
is that, you need to have this conversation, even if you're just like, I'm not looking to get into a poly relationship with another girl or another guy. I just want to have a threesome because it's on my bucket list. Like, you need to have a pretty big conversation
Yeah.
before then in terms of like boundaries. What are you okay with? What are you not okay with? Like we said, like having code words of this is starting to upset me. Because it's difficult. It's a difficult situation to get into.
Are there I guess would it be like homosexual like thruples, not
Yeah.
not like 3 guys, but I'm talking like 2 guys who are married to each other who want to bring a girl in, or 2 girls who are together. Really?
Yeah, we met a lesbian couple that said, we matched with them, and it never actually even got to a first date, but they were like, no, like, we've both had sex with a guy before, and like, your wife's hot, and like, we think would be fun for all 4 of us to get together. It didn't really happen, but there are those situations.
Well, I think that the boundaries are limitless there. I
Yeah.
mean, human beings love sex, right?
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
and if everybody's trying to fuck everyone, like that, I mean, obviously within your boundaries and that kind of thing, but I mean, I feel like it's probably pretty limitless there.
We actually had a girl that we hooked up with, I think maybe 2 times, that ended up getting married after, time had passed. And then she got in contact with us and was like, hey, me and my new husband are interested in opening our relationship and like asking our advice, and we've been like chit-chatting with her.
Yeah, I'm trying to
She
guide
might
her.
listen to this. She's on
Yeah.
our Facebook page.
Yeah.
But
How liberating does that feel? Did that feel like, like, wow, we did like a good job? Like,
yeah,
we kind of helped this girl
She
open
was
up
like,
a little bit.
Yeah.
I like what you guys did. I want to do it.
Yeah.
So
Tell
do
me
people
how.
reach out to you guys as like a resource for questions and
She
stuff? Are you guys
did.
comfortable answering those kinds
Yeah,
of questions?
absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
an
like,
open book.
it's
I'll
one of the
tell
reasons why
anyone.
we started that Facebook group too, because we're
Yeah.
like, this is something that's hard. Like, people would jump on like, an openly sexual Facebook group, and there wasn't a lot of like the lifestyle and questions of that. And what I saw in terms of like even other groups, it was more people were like, oh, we're looking for a girl, or we're looking for a couple. It wasn't like people being like, how do you go about this? How do you even start? Like, where
It was
do you
more
just
like
go to a bar?
dissected. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
more like dissected.
And that's the thing too. Like, we've talked to people, girls, after we really hooked up with them, and we'd say to them, like, the good part about the internet dating, section of this is that when you're done, you're going back to your life, and we're going back to our life. Like, I don't know you. You're not a friend of mine. You're not a coworker of mine. There's no embarrassment. Like, you can come here, we can all hook up, and then when you're done, like, you go back to your life and we'll go back to ours. So that's when it was like casually, like, there was girls that was the benefit of it. They just realized that, like, I can do this and not feel shamed. Or like, I hooked up with my friend and his my friend and her boyfriend, and now like it's really weird when we hang out together. So
I mean, if you have the personality to walk up to a girl in a bar as a couple and be like, we think you're hot and we want to take you home, by all means do it.
yeah.
But we're just not those people.
No.
I mean, I was in a club in Atlantic City, and a girl came up to me. It was with a group of my friends, and Jay wasn't with me. And she was like, you're so hot. Me and my boyfriend want to take you home. And I was like, I appreciate that. I'm married, and I'm not going to do that. And she's like, can we make out? And I was like, absolutely. So I just like made out with her the whole time and like danced on the floor. And my responsible friend is like, I'm not going to let them take you home. I'm like, I appreciate that. Thank you. But, I mean, if I had been single, that would have been a hot way to be picked up, especially knowing that I'm bisexual. I'd have been like, yeah, okay, sure, let's do this. So, I mean, as much as we're giving this advice of how it works for us, if you're out there and willing and able to have that, like, I'm not so outgoing to walk up to someone and just be like, you're hot, I want to take you home. It's just not my personality. But if you have it, do it.
Yeah. And I would say even like
It's a panty dropper.
I would also say like
I'm over here taking notes.
yeah. Talking about like we talk about like town hall stuff. Even like if you do end up hooking up with a girl or a guy, the couple having the conversation after it's over in terms of like, were you okay with everything? Was there anything that made you uncomfortable? Was there something
With just the couple.
Yeah, like afterwards, because
Okay.
we've had that conversation. One of the funny things, I'm sure Bobby, you'll appreciate this, but like, there's been times where like the girl will like leave, and like Sarah says something like a guy would, where she'd be like, Jesus fucking Christ, I thought she'd never leave.
And you're like, yes.
She's like, that girl never shut the fuck up. I'm like, just leave. Like, we're done. Get out.
Oh my
and I'm
gosh,
like,
that's awesome.
You're like,
like
and
that-
that's why I love you.
I just lost it. I laughed, and I'm like, that is great.
I had a girl high five me after sex once. It was the greatest thing ever. Literally, she was just like, we were like out of breath, and
Yeah.
like just like and she's like, she looks at me, and she goes, good job, high fives me, and I was like, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, this.
And we have we talk about it. Like we'll be like, how was that? And
I mean,
she'll
like
be
we
like,
said, the
she was
new
terrible.
toy syndrome, like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was talked about afterwards. Like, hey, pay attention to me. I get it. It's a new girl, and I'm also, paying attention to her. But like,
Yeah.
share the wealth.
Yeah. So that's when I learned. I was
Right.
like, oh, well, I guess I was doing that. But
And
yeah,
if you talk about things before you let it upset you, like you're like, oh, did that upset you? I'm like, no, it didn't, because after it happened, I was like, hey, let's not do that again. And he's like, okay, and then it's done.
I feel like you guys
clear
would
the
need
air.
like a whiteboard with boundaries written down on it. You know
well,
what
the
I mean?
good thing they're really
Like in the middle of sex, you could just like look over. You're like, okay, I'm still doing good. You know what I mean? Like,
my concern was when we first started was like, again, like boundaries. Like I wasn't sure how she was going to feel about me. Like, I was like, I could be joining in, I can do stuff with her, but like, what about the other girl? And like she said, like the very first time, she was kind of calling the shots, and she's like, get behind her. And I'm like, okay.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And then once that I saw that she like really got off on it, and then I same thing, over done, I'm like, that was fine. And she's like, oh my God, it was incredible. Like that was one of the best parts of it. So after that, there really weren't too many boundaries.
No, we don't have. Really, our only rule is everyone's involved.
Yeah, but even that, like, if we're in the
Well, if someone's like peeing or something.
yeah,
like
like
that,
even like
yeah,
the
it
heat of
makes
it, like
sense.
Sarah's like, I gotta go pee, and like she
Yeah.
pees, and I'm like staying there, and she's like, why aren't you guys fucking? And I'm like, oh, okay.
Let's get
So,
back into this.
right.
So it sounds like the theme of all of this is communication. That's
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yes.
it
Absolutely.
sounds like, and maybe this isn't for everyone, but at least for you guys have to be solid. And if you weren't, this wouldn't be going as well as it is.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. And the biggest thing too is like, we talked about it from like beginning. It was like, I always did it because that's what she wanted. So if she said, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm 100% happy with her. I've always been happy with her. It's just like something that we pursued, and it was like fun and, like an extracurricular activity in our marriage.
It's evolved quite a bit
It has.
from there.
Yeah.
With our relationship, but when we were, casually having sex with random women, though.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, that was all my fault. That was all my fault. I think I'm good. I want to ask one last question to both of you. How much do you love each other? Like, honestly, because like I feel it.
We've only known them for like 3 hours, and
I
I think I love you guys now,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah, like seriously, like how much do you love your wife?
Oh
Like,
my God. It's like, it's so cheesy, but like we are nonstop. Like we left for work. I miss you so much. I can't wait to see you again. Like we've been just,
You think it would get old?
yeah.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Really?
It just,
Yeah.
it's like every day is just more.
Yeah, I'm infatuated. I'm obsessed with her. I'm absolutely obsessed with her.
that's
Yeah.
like major goals.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of like you also getting to bang two chicks at the same
Yeah,
time. You
but-
know what I mean? But
Yeah, no. I mean, she's so hot.
I
And
get to bang a chick and a dick.
And then-
Chick and a dick. Same time.
oh my gosh.
yeah,
that's
no,
awesome.
it's really good. Yeah. I mean, my parents have been married for 60 some years. I've always kind of like thrived for, like that relationship.
My mother has been with a million guys, 4 marriages, many dating. So I don't have the same background of solid relationship, but
And it's funny, and yet you
Yeah.
found each other,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, again, like people were like, you're trying to spice stuff up. I'm like, we've got an incredible sex life. Incredible. We fucked before you guys got here.
yeah.
Yes, I love
It
that.
was not planned, and it
I
just
love
happened.
that.
We were like, we have stuff to do. We have to clean the house, and it's like, whoopsie.
Damn it! Now I feel bad that I like interrupted. You know
No,
what I mean?
no.
Like,
We had plenty of time.
all right, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, like I said, that was my last question. I mean, I have a million questions,
Right.
but I think really what it comes down to is ultimately we need to get you guys back on again, because I'm sure after this airs, we're gonna get an influx of questions and be like, who the fuck are those people, and how is this, and what about that, and there's
Yeah. Ask away.
Yeah, there's gonna be many more questions, and then if Gabby's willing to, we'll have her come on. We'll figure out a way to get up another mic set up for her. But thank you. I
Yeah,
mean, geez, this
thank
is like huge. Like not many people. I mean, this is obviously, as we discussed, a very unconventional relationship. There are certain people who you don't want to find out, or who already know and whatnot. And you opened us to your house. Number one, we're sitting on the kitchen table here, surrounded by pets and everything. And
Great time to be alive.
yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
exactly. I think that's super awesome, and I appreciate that more than you could ever imagine. And then on top of that, opening up to your relationship and your unconventional lifestyle. I mean, it takes some balls, No pun intended.
We'd like to always offer our guests closing arguments. Do you guys have anything else we haven't touched on that you'd like to say? Any advice? Anything like that?
I mean, just really reviewing what we said in terms of just like communication. I mean, any relationship. We talk about it in ours, but take the whole town hall thing and run with it. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your parents say, hey, look, once a week, let's just hash things out. Is someone angry about something? Are they not? And again, it's not always negative. Probably the past 5 or 6 times we've done it in our relationship with Gabby, it's been positive stuff. It's been, hey, it was, this weekend we had a big celebration. We did like an early Mardi Gras thing, and we just had a great time. And on Sunday, we're just like, hey, that was such a great weekend. I'm so excited for like next time we hang out.
Yeah, and as scary as it may seem to, broach a subject that you feel like some angst about, or you think that will be like interpreted bad, once you get it out on the table, a lot of times it's like, oh, you're upset by that? I didn't mean that at all. You're like, oh, wow, I'm so glad I said that out loud because now it's fine. Whereas if I hadn't said it out loud, it would just fester inside. And then you're like, oh, that thing that happened that I never mentioned, and now I'm mad, and they don't even know. Like,
and we've done things where we've like taken notes.
The table.
We've like taken notes of like, this is what
write
I'm going to talk
stuff
about
down.
on town hall.
Something happens, and just like take a little note in your phone, write it down, and then just like forget about it for a while. And then when it's town hall again, you're like, oh yeah, I don't even remember this, but like this thing happened. Like, oh yeah.
Or sometimes you're like, I was just angry that day. And you're
love
like, it's not important.
I love that because I'm a big communicator, but I'm the type like we're out to like a romantic dinner, and I'm like, remember that one time last week when you did that thing? And he's like, really? Like,
And
right.
exactly
So
2:34.
Not the time.
No,
exactly.
it's not the time.
That's my
So
problem.
this-
Communicating all day. Timing,
Yeah.
not my best.
You gotta,
not my best.
That's why it's good to have that like set aside time to pull all the skeletons out of the closet.
And that way you know like you had that
Pull 'em
time
into the
coming,
light.
so it's like you don't have to
Yeah.
bring it out at dinner on Friday. Like,
Yeah.
well, I'll just wait till Sunday.
And we've learned from experience too, like, don't be like altered state in any way either.
Yeah.
Like we shoot for like Sunday after breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, I got some drinks in me. I got some courage now to say it. No, don't do that.
Wow, I'm learning a lot. Thanks, guys. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're so excited. I cannot wait to see you guys again. Cannot wait to drink with you guys. Any social media that you guys want to plug at all for yourselves?
Sure. On Facebook, we got a group called Savages. Again, it's a group of people that are like in the lifestyle, and a lot of people sharing, advice, and so if you really are interested in the lifestyle, you have any questions, we are more than happy. Some of the
Judgment
admins,
free.
Yeah, judgment-free place for people to ask questions.
Do not join if you want to judge people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Again, we want to thank you immensely. Is that a good word?
Yes.
Yeah,
I've
perfect.
never seen Bobby this flustered and just like dumbfounded, by the way, guys. It's
This
great.
is-
it's awesome. I have pictures. I will be sharing them on the Instagram feed.
I'm just in shock. This is so new to me and whatnot. So again, thank you so much for opening up your home to us, and opening up your lifestyle. Everything else, you guys know what to do. Follow us on Instagram at Irregular Podcast. Also, you can feel free to follow my personal social media. It's at YoBob, EYOO_BOB.
And find my personal Instagram. It's at Katie_ANI. It's KAITY_ANI. And as you guys know, our Facebook group, Irregular, lots of fucked up shit that goes on in there.
Yeah.
So
And DM us, because I know this episode is just
yes,
it's
any
wild.
questions, feedback, bring it all. We want to hear from you. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next Thursday.
Love y'all.